I need your help. FTTB, I need your help in determining how the 49ers should go about solving this problem that's very present, that everyone's talking about. It's been in the media. It's a big problem, and we do need to solve it. And I'm afraid that the problem's actually getting a little bit worse. So I'm here in Colorado just thinking, man, if I was back home in California, I'd be hanging out with Chris or Jake or one of my many other friends who are 49ers buddies, and they would tell me what the 49ers need to do. I need your help. Join me in trying to solve this problem. If you're new here, I'm Nate, and we are talking the San Francisco 49ers. It really would help me out if you are not subscribed and you want to join that conversation, that you would hit that subscribe button. But a lot of guys on this roster have to get paid, and it starts, right now at least, it seems like it's starting with Brandon Aiyuk. There are a lot of guys that need a big contract, or at least are up for a big contract, and the 49ers are definitely going to have some tough decisions on their hands with the amazing amount of weapons that are on this team. Fortunately, you have one more year for Brock Purdy before he has to get paid. So right now, chief among these problems is trying to figure out how the 49ers are going to sign Brandon Aiyuk and how that's going to go. And the latest news, as I'm sure you've seen, I won't spend too much time on it, is that Aiyuk is aiming to surpass St. Brown's $30 million a year-ish contract. While Brandon Aiyuk's contract extension saga remains unsettled, there is clarity regarding the 49ers star wide receiver's perceived asking price while he seeks a new deal from San Francisco. In speaking on NFL Live on Friday, ESPN's Jeremy Fowler provided an update on the ongoing negotiations between Aiyuk and the 49ers, while revealing the potential threshold for the contract the wide receiver is aiming to secure from the team that selected him in the first round of the 2020 NFL Draft. Time flies, right? San Francisco with Brandon Aiyuk, they have been talking, they have been negotiating. Fowler explained, nothing imminent as of yet, but there's certainly a chance. I was told the benchmark here is Detroit Lions wide receiver Amon-Ra St. Brown because he got $28 million per year on a 4-year deal from Detroit. The goal, as it appears, is for Aiyuk to try to beat that. He doesn't need to be the highest paid in the league, but he's done enough and accomplished enough in that offense where he's probably going to need to be at that number or higher. Although Aiyuk had 59 fewer targets, that's 59, okay? We're going to get into that more in a minute, but goodness, and 44 fewer receptions than St. Brown in 2023. He had only 173 fewer receiving yards, an indication of how valuable Aiyuk's big play ability was for the 49ers' high-flying offense. The 26-year-old, 17.9 yards per reception, ranked second in the NFL last season, while Aiyuk earned a spot on the second-team All-Pro squad. So his demand is St. Brown money. That's the kind of money, and we're going to break down that contract in a second as well. But first, I want to give a shout out to one of my favorite 49ers podcasts, Locked On 49ers. I really enjoy listening to Brian Peacock and Eric Crocker, and Eric Crocker had a great point breaking down why this is actually a bigger problem, although I'm not sure that's what he meant to say. That is kind of what comes out of it. This is actually a bigger problem than it looks on the surface, because these two camps are coming from different perspectives. The 49ers have a perspective as to what they actually are using Aiyuk for, and Aiyuk's got a perspective in terms of what he's actually producing. And the disagreement between two parties is going to come down to the word value. It's my favorite word on planet Earth. I teach all of my students as an educator. I teach about the word value. It's very important. And I feel like this is where the key difference is going to be. And to give Eric Crocker credit, because this is really his work here, his idea, him pointing out a lot of this stuff. Because of the difference in targets that these two wide receivers are getting, that shows the discrepancy between how the 49ers value that position, WR1. Let's pretend it's not Brandon Aiyuk for a second. It's just a guy, okay? That's how the 49ers value WR1 versus the Detroit Lions, Okay. And that's a key difference that we do need to think about that in terms of math. If you're going to pay this guy what St. Brown is getting paid, then there's a little bit of a question in terms of where is the ball going? And does that mean that it necessitates a change in value and that Aiyuk then needs to be getting the ball 164 times, if I remember correctly? Actually, I have a tweet about this that I'll pull up that gives me those numbers. Not sure he's going to get $30 million from the 49ers. I would do a lot to keep him, but SF probably doesn't pay Aiyuk, who only saw 105 targets last season, what Lions paid St. Brown, who got 164 targets. Unfortunately for Aiyuk, he's just in a different situation. And that is, unfortunately, exactly how I feel about the matter. I really want Brandon Aiyuk on this team. I want to be honest about that. I want to be clear about that. I think most 49ers fans want Brandon Aiyuk on this team. He is a solid player. And what he does after the catch is truly special. So, yes, I want the 49ers to figure this out with Aiyuk. But how they figure this out is where I'm struggling and where I need you to come in. Faithful, I need you to help me in the comments so we can talk through what this actually looks like. Because when I look at the contracts and I look at the stats, I'm seeing a discrepancy here that Eric Crocker points out that I think is super valid. So we know CeeDee Lamb, for example. Crocker talked about him in the podcast as well. CeeDee Lamb is up for a contract soon. I think, oh boy, let's go find him. CeeDee Lamb is up for a contract same exact time as Aiyuk. So they're in a very similar situation, right? And CeeDee Lamb has 181 targets. He leads the NFL last year in targets. So what CeeDee Lamb gets in money is going to probably be different than Aiyuk in general. Not because CeeDee Lamb's better than Aiyuk, but because of the way that the team values him. In other words, Cowboys see more value in CeeDee Lamb than the 49ers see in Aiyuk in terms of what they need in production out of that player because of their different offensive schemes and the number of targets that the 49ers have available to them. So let's talk about a couple other guys. Tyreek Hill and St. Brown are both guys who are in that 160 to 170 target range. You can see a difference in yards that these two individuals have had, and of course, a slight difference in TDs as well. But both incredibly valuable individuals to their team and to former teams for Tyreek, to be clear. If we scroll down, this is in terms of number of targets. Here's Brandon Aiyuk at 105 targets for 1,300 yards, which is just bananas because if you look at the number of yards, right? I mean, that's an incredible production, 17.9 average yards per catch. That's just insane numbers in my opinion. So I understand why the guy's got to get paid and I don't want to lose him. For comparison's sake, and I know Deebo Samuel is definitely more than just a receiver, so I want to give that caveat before you start adding me in the comments. Yes, Deebo's a different player, but just in terms of the wide receiving core, just in terms of where he's catching the ball and doing that side of things, and Christian McCaffrey's on there too is another good argument in terms of just targets. That's where these targets are going, right? So if we scroll down, I know I had Lamb on here. Did I scroll past him? I did. Where is he? Oh, I'm not looking up Lamb. That's why. I'm thinking about this page. Here we go. Sorry. So CeeDee Lamb and Brandon Aiyuk are similar in contract situation. They're going to be looking for good money. Let's scroll to the top now and let's look at the kind of money we're talking. So you got $30 million average per year for both St. Brown and Tyreek Hill. You have Deebo, who does more than just be a wide receiver. He's also got some extra little stuff going on, and he's at $23.5 million per year. His contract was done last year, 2 years ago now. Now I'm trying to remember. So, you know, the money kind of, the market changes and stuff. So in terms of what the 49ers can do for this guy, that's where I'm like struggling. And that's where I need you guys to help me out. And that's where this question of the day is. I did a poll, by the way, on this. How important is the Aiyuk deal for the San Francisco 49ers? 47% of you say high priority. 36% of you say mandatory. only 17% of you are outside of that high priority to mandatory category. So it's clear that FTTB agrees, at least those that subscribe to my channel, that this is a move that the 49ers need to make. So what do? The question of the day that I have to ask you is, how do the 49ers go about this? Help me out in the comments. What do the 49ers do? Do they say, yes, we will pay you that $30 million a year plus, and we make you that guy? And if they do that, my question to you is, let me know in the comments. If you say yes, pay the guy whatever he asks. Just pay him, because he's a great talent. He's 26 years old. He's got a long future ahead of him. Pay the guy. If that's where you're at, and I respect that position 1,000%, my mind is still not made up on this, then I would say, shoot, at that $30 million a year, do the 49ers need to treat his position differently? That's what I want to know. Let me know in the comments. Do you say, no, he's worth $30 million a year as is, pay him that wide receiver money, even though he's getting a significantly less targets than everybody else at that level? Okay. Or option 2 would be, pay him somewhere between in the range of 25 to 30 million, like a 26, 27, maybe 28 or something. So, somewhere in that range, in that, not middle ground, because that's very top end for wide receivers, but at least in between, where the 49ers see him in terms of the need for him in this offense, in terms of targets and how often he's seeing the ball, versus the actual value, above average value he's providing in yards after the catch, right? So that's where I think the two parties are going to have to meet in the middle. It's going to be super interesting to see that. And then, of course, option number 3 would be, give him get him an offer, and if he declines and he moves for big money somewhere else, fine, we don't want him on our team. That's not where I'm at, I'll be honest with you, but I would understand that position. If you say, look, you're in that 17% on my poll, and you're like, offer the guy 24, 25 mil, and if he doesn't take it, that's okay. That's fine. Let him have a final year with the 49ers and go get his money somewhere else. All those are possible options. Let me know in the comments what you think, and I look forward to joining that conversation with you, because I really don't have my mind made up about this, and it's driving me crazy. I don't know if it's going to have a little bit of a cold, and so I just can't process it properly, but I'm really hoping that the 49ers can solve this problem and get Brandon Aiyuk on the squad and happy up for the next several years, because that would be great news for both Brock Purdy, all of the 49ers fans, to be fair, and of course the whole 53. That's all I got for you today. As always, this is a really exciting time to be alive.